Good morning. It is Sunday, January 27th, 2019. Oh my goodness, let me fix that. And it is 9:20 in the morning. I do believe that is the first time I've made a mistake on the year in the title. I've caught myself saying it was 2018 a couple of times when referencing other older articles. So it is a beautiful sunny morning, and it is a balmy +4 degrees Fahrenheit in my neck of the woods, 21 degrees warmer than when I reported to you yesterday at -23 degrees. All right, what do we have up here? From Daily Wire, we have Senator Lindsey Graham perfectly articulating the post-shutdown situations for Democrats. And this was posted by Frank Camp, and you can find him at Frank D. Camp on Twitter. And this was posted on January 25th, which would have been Friday. So we are going to play. Did we have a video here? I thought we did. Guess not. All right, we won't play then. We will read. Yep. I thought we had a video. Oh well. On Friday, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, spoke with Fox News reporter in his Capitol office. During the exchange between Graham and Fox News reporter, the senator made several critical points regarding the battle over the border wall funding that's taking place between President Trump and Democratic leadership. First, Graham stated that this may be the best chance for DACA and TPS, temporary protected status recipients, and that the ball is now in the Democrats' court. Well, it's been there several times. But Graham goes on to say, the best way to get this thing to conclusion is opening up the government. The bottom line is temporary protected status recipients who have been here for decades as a result of natural disasters, wars, they're going to be to begin to lose their legal status this year. You have DACA, that's the Deferred Access Program for children, who are not children in many cases anymore, who are in sort of legal limbo. The president is willing to give 1.1 million people a better life if he can get a secure border. To my Democratic friends, you have voted in the past for wall funding greater than the president requested. This is the first time in 12 years I've seen a deal where you can secure your border and give a better life to the DACA TPS population if the Democrats do not work with us. The biggest losers, in my view, are going to be TPS DACA recipients, because this president will secure our border through executive action. Graham then slammed anyone who claimed that the border is secure, given the constant illegal crossings citing several recent and shocking examples. In addition, if the Democratic leadership doesn't take this opportunity to make a deal, the president will secure the border using, quote, emergency procedures, close quote. Graham went on to say, my belief is this needs to come to an end, that every commander-in-chief has an obligation to defend the country. How can you look at that border and believe it's not porous? You had a 9-month pregnant woman climb over the wall a couple of days ago. You had 100 people come over the wall using a ladder. So I think the president is hell-bent on securing our border. He would love to do it through the legislative process. He's willing to give a better life to the TPS DACA recipients, put humanitarian assistance on the table. Here's what I think. Come February 15th, if the Democrats still say, quote, go to hell on the wall, close quote, you get $1, that's it. Basically, they basically tell Trump, quote, I'm not going to do with you what I did with the Bush and Obama, close quote, and then I hope he will go to the emergency route. We don't need to shut the government down. We need to secure the border. And to me, the last best chance to do this win-win is between now and February 15th. Lastly, Graham noted that just 6 years ago, the Democrats voted to provide substantially more money for border security and fencing, and that is currently being asked of them by the president. To my Democratic colleagues, I've been working with you for a decade. You voted in 2013 for a $42 billion budget to secure our border, 700 miles of fencing. You've done that in the past. This president is willing to give a better life to the DACA TPS population if he can get something in return, securing our border. And you can read the rest of Lindsey Graham's comments. Links in the show notes as always, and everything that we present to you that is others' intellectual property, we present to you under Title 17, Section 107, the Fair Use Clause, which covers portions of other people's work being brought for the purpose of news, education, information, and discussion. So let's move on. Sarah Sanders also weighed in. She's a little tired of the argument, I think. From True Pundit, Sarah Sanders just issued a severe ultimatum to Democrats about the border wall. The aftermath of what has been widely deemed a political defeat for President Donald Trump in his effort to build a wall on the southern border, Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders issued an ultimatum to Democrats. After Congress passed a bill to open the government for the next 3 weeks while border security is negotiated, this would have been on Friday, Trump tweeted that, quote, in 21 days, if no deal is done, it's off to the races, close quote. Sanders took things even a step further. And this tweet is from Sarah Sanders, our press secretary. In 21 days, President Donald Trump is moving forward, building the wall with or without the Democrats. The only outstanding question is whether the Democrats want something or nothing. And she is responding to President Trump's tweet, I wish people would read or listen to my words on the border wall. This was in no way a concession. I was taking care of millions of people who were getting badly hurt by the shutdown with the understanding that in 21 days, if no deal is done, it's off to the races. And in 21 days, the president is moving forward with the wall, with or without the Democrats, Sarah Sanders wrote. There is further reading on True Pundit links in the show notes. Our next story is from Breitbart, and this is something that almost nobody reported on. Let me rephrase that. This is something that almost nobody reported on in a way that it would get the American public's attention, and so we will do it to the best of our ability. Donald Trump donates his third quarter salary from 2018 to Alcoholism Research. And this was written by Joshua Kaplan and was published yesterday, January 26, 2019. President Donald Trump donated his third quarter salary of 2018 to a federal agency that researches alcoholism, the White House confirmed. And I'm sure if Betty Ford, former First Lady Betty Ford, were alive, she would have appreciated that greatly, as she struggled with alcoholism and turned her struggle into a fine institution to help those who also struggle. And the article goes on to read, the president gave $100,000 to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, which is a part of the U.S. National Institute of Health. It conducts medical research on the causes and prevention of alcohol-related issues. President Trump's older brother, Fred Trump Jr., suffered from alcoholism and died in 1981 at 43 years old. I'm sure that almost nobody knows that. Moving on. Watching his brother pass away from too much drinking spawned the president's lifelong aversion to alcohol. Now do you understand why he never drinks? Those of you naysayers and nasty commenters? Quote, I can honestly say I have never had a beer in my life, he joked to reporters last year. Can you imagine if I had, what a mess I'd be? I'd be the worst, I'd be the world's worst. Well, close quote. That's kind of funny because, he's even topping his older brother in a stress relieving joke. I'm sure it's difficult for him to talk about. During the 2016 presidential election, then candidate Donald Trump vowed to donate his annual salary of $400,000 if he were elected. In 2017, the president donated his quarterly salaries to the Department of Veterans Affairs, Health and Human Services, Department of Transportation, and the Education Department. I can't think of a more kind and generous thing to do by our nation's leader. But of course, this stuff never gets talked about because people would prefer to come up with flimsy reasons why he's a racist, a bigot, and, fill in the blank. But the facts show that he is a compassionate person. To the extent that he is capable of being compassionate, I'll concede to those naysayers. But then aren't we all? Moving along. Again from Breitbart, father discovers hospital denied him access to his child's medical records. And apparently this is the family, and this is by Catherine Rodriguez, and it was published yesterday. An Iowa father was shocked. Let me scroll this up a little bit because I want you to see this whole page, or as much of it as I can bring you without scrolling. An Iowa father was shocked after finding out a hospital denied him access to his child's medical records, prompting him to ask a local news station to investigate. Kevin Christians of Coralville told KCRG that he received a letter from the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics telling him that once his daughter turned 12 years old, he could no longer access her medical records without her permission. Quote, "We believe that children at this age should take a more active role in their own health care and have a choice to keep some information private," close quote, the letter stated. Breitbart, in its editorial wisdom, has deemed it appropriate to stick a video clip in the middle of this story on a very important issue of Chelsea Clinton expecting her third child this summer. Breitbart, what in the Sam Hill does Chelsea Clinton's pregnancy have to do with an Iowa man's discovery that he did not have access to the health and medical records of his 12-year-old daughter, for whom he is charged as a parent to care for? Really, Breitbart? Poor decision at best, at very best. The hospital said, moving back to the subject of this article, the hospital said Christians, this is the man's last name, the father's name, would not be able to retrieve his daughter's medical records without her approval. Quote, "If you get locked out of being able to see the health care records for your child, that makes parenting even that much more difficult, in my opinion," said Christians. The hospital's letter stems from the Healthcare Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, a 2002 federal law which protects individuals' medical records. And I can tell you at that time, and for quite some time, it only applied to the adult children of parents, and I had that experience myself. KCRG reported that all U.S. hospitals have similar policy, but the age at which the hospitals began to enforce those policies varies. State laws have different guidelines on what age to allow children to have more control over their medical records. Under Iowa state law, it was up to individual hospitals and medical facilities to determine the age of consent. The station found that some facilities in Iowa set the age of consent at 12, while others require a child to be 18 before they have greater consent over their medical records. Now, I'm going to just editorialize here for a moment and not wait till the end. I experienced a situation where one of my children had to have potentially life-saving surgery. The surgery was of a nature where they could not determine the extent of the problem without doing exploratory surgery, and this child was very young, and I mean very young. So in order to diagnose the problem, they had to take her into surgery to actually look inside her body. And while she was on the table with her abdomen open, I should say her torso open, the doctor came out and spoke to us in the waiting room and said, "We have a decision to make. We cannot determine if a simple biopsy is the appropriate action that will tell us the answer we need. And so we have two choices. We can do a biopsy, which may or may not spread the issue further, and close her up and wait for lab results, which could have taken a month, 6 weeks, whatever. Or we can eradicate the problem now and be sure that the problem is contained by eradicating it. And, there were opinions offered, and mine was the last one solicited. And I said, what are we waiting for? Let's take the 75, 80, 90% chance option and perform this larger surgery and be that much more sure that she will be well and she can move on with her life. Now, that left her with a medical condition where she is a little bit at a disadvantage functionally, but not a terrible disadvantage. She does have to watch certain aspects of her diet and activity in order to have the best continuing outcome throughout her life. She's an adult now, and she's a parent, she's married, and everything appears to be fine. But in that situation, if I were prevented from talking to the surgeon for whatever reason, like an outrageous interpretation of the HIPAA laws, I'm pretty sure I would have always questioned what decision was made, and I would have resented not being consulted. All right, let's move on to something much lighter. I get these stories in my news feed about this golden retriever, and this is a relatively young dog, and whoever is publishing these stories publishes them every day, something about this little dog. Well, this one caught my eye. So on a much lighter note, technophobic Pooch, jealous golden retriever, stops his owner from using the computer under Title 17, Section 107, and this is from Sputnik and was published this morning. This golden retriever seems keen to stop his owner from using his computer every time he puts his hand on the keyboard. The dog removes it with his paw. Dogs typically draw their owner's attention in other ways, such as barking, jumping, whining, and causing chaos. I can attest to that. You guys have heard the shepherd in the background. But let's see what method this little golden retriever employs. Very cute. But wait, there's more. I'm not going to try and read the dog language the way it's written. I'm just going to read it the way a human would read it. The Golden Skipper says, when I say stop, working human, stop it. I get angry and chew that white wire next. No, make me angry. How cute, how incredibly cute. Our dogs and our kids, remind us, humbling way, I guess you could say, what it means to actually be human, that we don't have control over everything despite what we think. All right, let's return to the desk. A very cute story, you have to admit, very cute. That's all we have for you today. I do have one scheduling note, and that is that the scheduling of this broadcast, in other words, the goal being produced, uploaded, and ready for viewing by 7 or 8 in the morning at the most, is going, someplace warm in a handbasket. And the reason being is that I took on a project which I can't talk about right now. I have a gentlewoman's agreement with the person that I took the project on for. And so, you know, I'm sorry if those of you who are viewers are really looking forward to this broadcast in the early morning. I'll do my best, but this is a big project, and I'm pleased to be doing this project. So for me and the shepherd on this beautiful sunny day, it's a balmy 4 degrees out in my neck of the woods. Have a fantastic Sunday.